Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to pull the engine from your Cub Cadet garden tractor. And this process is going to apply to any Cub Cadet garden tractor from about 1971 on to, probably the mid 1990s. This particular one is a Cub Cadet 782. Before we get started, we'll unhook the negative terminal on our battery. We don't need any unnecessary sparks. If your tractor has side panels, you can remove those using the wing nuts towards the back underneath your dash, and there's usually going to be a spring towards the front that holds the two sides together. Then you just lean them outwards and pull them out. If you have headlights, you're going to want to unhook the connectors at the back of the headlights and just put these wires off to the side. Underneath your front grille assembly, there should be 4 screws securing it to the frame. On this tractor, they are 5/16 inch heads, and I needed to use a 12-point socket. And put your hood down before you remove all this, just so it's not flopping around on you. And you should probably remove the front grille before you do this. I forgot about that, so I removed it after. If you have a mower deck on your tractor, you're going to have to detension the deck belt by pushing the left-hand side mechanism in and into the latch and working the belt off the pulley. Just be careful, don't pinch your fingers here. Now we can disconnect the drive shaft at the rag joint. These are 9/16 inch nuts. And I used a big screwdriver just to prevent it from rotating while I was loosening it. And you're only going to have to remove 2 of the 4 of these bolts. I chose to remove the 2 that are connected to the front piece of the rag joint. Turn off your fuel at the petcock on the bottom of your gas tank and disconnect the line somewhere between here and the carburetor. And then you're going to want to unplug the main plug that connects your wiring harness into your engine. Now we'll remove the choke cable. This one just has a little bracket that secures it, and then we can just unlatch it. If your cable passes through anything on the engine, you're going to have to pull it through that so that it's all, fully disconnected from the tractor. On the other side, we'll disconnect our throttle cable. It's going to be a very similar process. This camera angle is underneath the right side of the tractor, looking kind of forwards, and there's going to be 6 screws with 9/16 inch heads on them that secure the engine cradle to the frame of the tractor. I'll note that on this tractor, 2 of those screws are right above the front axle. This isn't particularly obvious if you've never taken out one of these engines. You might be trying to remove the actual motor mounts from the engine, but that's not what you want to do. You want to remove this entire plate that secures the engine to the frame. With a couple people, you can lift one of these engines. They're not that heavy, but I'm also not trying to destroy my back. So I used a chain hoist and secured to these 2 mounting points on each side of the engine. And now we'll just begin to lift things up slowly. We're going to have to kind of wiggle that rag joint in the back to get the drive shaft to disconnect. Once you've lifted about an inch or 2, you'll be able to much easier access the nut on the starter. That's going to be a 3/8 inch usually. So disconnect that wire. And just lift it nice and slow. Make sure there's not something you missed that's attaching this thing to the lawnmower. You don't want to rip off any cables while you're doing this. If you have an electric PTO clutch, don't forget to disconnect the wire that engages the PTO. And that's it, the engine's out. It's great with this engine cradle. You can just set it on a workbench and work on it. These Cub Cadets are really very simple to remove the engine. If you have to do any extensive work on it, I'd honestly recommend just pulling it out of the tractor and doing it on a workbench, and you'll thank yourself later. If you want to see more videos about this tractor, click subscribe below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.